Welcome, welcome to the Lilydale Astrology Cafe. I am your host, Patricia Bell. I am a registered medium in Lilydale, as well as a vintage astrologer of more than 5 decades. And it is my pleasure to be with some of the best and the brightest astrologers that are my personal friends, and you have an opportunity to get to know. So we are fortunate enough to have Cameron Allen here today. I'm not even going to introduce him. I'm wanting him to introduce himself so that he can expand upon everything he does. He has a portfolio that's beyond me. I have said to him, and I say to all of you, he is the astrologer of the future. And the reason I say that is because he has so multi talents that it is amazing to be able to study with someone like him. And we are so grateful that he is coming to Lilydale and he will be teaching there this August. So without further ado, welcome, Cameron.
Hey, Patricia, it's great to be here, and thanks for that introduction. That feels really kind and super sweet, and I'm really appreciative of it. And hey, everybody listening right now, in whatever present moment it is, thanks for being here with us. And yeah, so just a little bit about me. Like Patricia said, I'm definitely a multifaceted astrologer. Some people don't even necessarily know me as an astrologer, which is like a testament to the way in which I work in a variety of fields. But just a little bit about me. Would start with saying like, yeah, I would start with just like my traditional education of like health and sports science and psychology with like a minor in sports and exercise psychology. So just from being in college, always just considering, contemplating, working with, being in relationship with the connection between the mind and the body so since college I've just been into that and started getting into astrology. Like maybe it wasn't necessarily I was getting into astrology, but just getting into the planets when I was in college through the lens of Carl Jung and alchemy. So I'd write a bunch of papers on Carl Jung and the planets, and that was my introduction to astrology back then, unbeknownst to me that I will become an astrologer in the future. But I also am a practicing herbalist. I study with the School of Evolutionary Herbalism. I'm like one semester away from getting my Ayurvedic health practitioner certification as well. I did over 200 hours of Kundalini yoga, so I did training in that. I'm currently also in a yoga teacher training program that also includes jujitsu movement and mobility as well. And also, before I even got done with my Ayurveda practitioner certification, I also now in Greco-Arabic medicine school, what they call Unani Tib, which is a medicine system that it used to belong side by side the medical astrology that I practice. And so also I'm mostly known as a medical astrologer around the world, but I also have training in evolutionary astrology, which talks about tracking the soul through different lifetimes, and also traditional astrology as well, through like the Hellenistic period and the Islamic period, which is it's a whole system unto itself that includes spiritual practices, that includes timing techniques and other philosophies that we won't go into today necessarily. But yeah, I'm just a very well-rounded practitioner of all these different things. There's more I could say there. One thing I will add is I also was initiated, like I'm my first level of initiation in African tradition called Sangoma as well. So there's just a lot of things there that I'm a part of and play with, and I'll stop there for now before I go on another 5-minute rant.
Oh, see, this is why we are so blessed to have you with us. You know, there is a part of everybody that is looking to understand the depth of their health.
Mhm.
And, the certain systems only allow you 8 minutes with an MD, and a lot of people walk away not understanding what it is or what role it is that they play in their health. And I have found from my practice in Chinese medicine that it is critical that the person is involved, body, mind, and spirit. And with
Absolutely.
your background, they can come from any place and be able to find themselves, Cameron. This is why I am so excited. And I really believe that the medicine of the future is going in this direction, particularly with herbal and everything else. We're looking at how much our plant kingdom really and truly loves us. So, with that thought in mind, oh my gosh, can you believe it's 2026 already? I can't.
No,
It's
yeah.
like, wow. So, here we are, and I'm going to ask you, can you give us your thoughts on what it is that we should think about doing to be able to make it through a lot of these astrological aspects during 2026 and being prepared for this year and maybe even some of the bumps in the road.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I always like to go to like the very, very basics to begin with. So something to keep in mind just with the collective culture that we're in right now, like something simple as like making sure we walk every day. I know it sounds very menial to a lot of people, but I really do promote people walking, and also in the current space and time we're in, just like with the amount of information and media that we're being flooded with, also just being mindful. Like I always have a practice now of the first at least 10 minutes of the day, like making sure that you're not ingesting information from an outside source, and just like really being present in your body with your breath, drinking water in your own environment, and actually like noticing, like, is it chaotic outside of my house? Like when I wake up and I take a walk around my block, there's people waking up. There's kids starting to go to school, and the air is crisp and it's pretty quiet. Besides, like I live down the street from the school, so after an hour or so, it starts to get a little noisy. But there's not really chaos happening in my immediate environment, and it allows me to be able to be more in my body when I am engaging with things that are happening, we would say, around the world, which is something that's still very new for the human species in general, to be ingesting information and potentially the pain and suffering of people around the whole planet. And I don't know, I still question deeply if our nervous systems are even ready for that. So always just inviting people to make sure that they're really taking care of themselves in this current space and time in that way. And of course, again, that looks like waking up, taking care of yourself, but also even when you, some people I work with too as well, like this is a really good practice. Scan your body and take a few deep breaths, or you take a minute or two to yourself before you even engage with social media in general, and just notice how your body feels. And then when you get done, do the same thing again at the end. You scan your body, you take a few deep breaths, and you just notice, like, what did I just ingest? What did I just digest? Because there's a lot going on this year, and like not even getting into any specific transits or anything like that, or naming when the hot spots are specifically. Just know that there's going to be a lot going on this year, and like Patricia said, there is like a lot of fear that's like coming up in the collective. And so just making sure that you're regulating yourself so that you don't add to the things that happen when we get into a fear mode, which it creates division, which creates frustration, anger, hate, even, and unnecessary disconnection from people that we love as well. So that's what my general advice for this year, without getting into like the nitty gritty of like when it's going to happen and stuff like that. Yeah.
Well, I have some questions.
Mm-hmm.
What if A, you've had very disturbing dreams? B, could you elaborate on the breath?
Yeah.
Because, and C, um, is there any, outside of walking, is there a hand mudra or some sort of yoga that you, gently, that you recommend?
Yeah, absolutely. So The breath. First, let's start with the breath. So to answer the question about the breath, my favorite practice lately, and it's a base practice that I have to like a 10 to 20 step process that I have with a lot of people that I work with, is essentially what you do is you lay on the ground, and the first thing you do when you lay on the ground is you tilt your pelvis towards your navel to make sure your back is fully on the ground. And also being mindful, you don't even have to lay on the ground. Like in this present moment, you can just imagine your pelvis going up towards your navel, so you feel like you're tucking in a little bit, tucking your pelvis in a little bit. And then you just like place your hands on your stomach, and then you just do what we call Buddha belly breathing. Like when we're on the ground, oftentimes I also call it book on the belly breathing. One of my teachers, he has another name for it, but we'll call it book on the belly breathing for now. And then you just watch the book go up and down while you breathe, so that you're really being mindful and just noticing. It's like also the book is making contact with your body. So it's really bringing you into this like present moment awareness of what's going on with your breath in your body. And I invite people to do this breath from a place of, let's say, like taking inner inventory. So you're just taking inventory. You're just noticing how much space you do or don't have in your body. And we could do that even like right now, if you just place your hand on your stomach, and then we do the Buddha belly breath, which is just like breathing as smooth as possible without forcing it, and just noticing where you do and don't have breath, where you do and don't have space in your belly, and then exhaling out of the mouth and like just gently bringing the navel towards the spine. And just doing that for a few minutes and just noticing again how much space you do or don't have in the belly, and coming back to that practice over and over again, and just noticing if you do take inventory when you first take your first few breaths. As you continue to do that practice, you'll start to notice more and more space when you're breathing, which creates more and more space in your life, in your mind, in your heart. And so that's what I would really recommend. I'm gonna hold off on inviting a pranayama practice. Um, yeah, I'll hold off on a pranayama practice, but also something else for people to do that's very, very simple that you can do anywhere, that's really accessible, is just I always have like people interlace their fingers together like this, and then you act like you're trying to pull your hands away from each other while feeling it in your upper middle back. So just like pulling your hands away from each other, but through your middle back, and just like feel the blood flowing towards your middle back. And maybe you want to like rock back and forth a little bit, making sure you're breathing. Maybe you want to come up and down a little bit, but just really engaging the middle back, because also along with sitting down a lot, that like makes our hips really tight. Also, we like hunch over a little bit, so that will just like bring more energy and life force flow to the middle back. I forget the other two questions you had there, but
Okay,
that's what I was
one
trying
was
to make sure.
about, okay, you had a dream, and that
Okay,
dream
yeah, totally.
maybe not so wonderful, or
Yeah,
but very, it shook you up. All right.
yeah,
So how does how do
totally. Yeah, no, I got you. Yeah, so what I would invite first is very, very simple, is just prayer, right? Or like reading something at night that like brings you into a calm, soothing state, or something that makes you feel protected. Also, like having an item in your bed that makes you feel protected, whether that's like the stuffed animal you had when you were 5 years old, or if it's a gemstone, or if it is a book that you want to put under your pillow, or if you want to drink some tea before you go to sleep at night, or make sure you take a shower before you go to sleep at night, and just pray for like cleansing, healing energy around you while you go to sleep. Those are some things that I would suggest, is just keep it super simple. But I think prayer is like a really good one, always off the top. Yeah.
That's fabulous. Absolutely fabulous. You see, those of you watching now can understand why I see Cameron Allen is such a gem. We're just not even getting a taste of his talents. This brief sort of podcast is here for you to get to understand you and how having a teacher, an instructor that can guide you through what you need to for your physicality. I mean, medical astrology is a very evolving science, and you have to be on top of it. And I know that Cameron is on top of it, and that he takes people individually when he does tutoring with them to other levels. Now, I and Cameron believe not one size fits all. I mean, it's just like being a medium. I don't get your spirit loved ones come through for you. And I know that when Cameron looks at medical astrology, he gets that inner glimpse into you that a lot of medical astrology from books does not give you. Can you address that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. Oh yeah, I love this. That was, yeah, I love that so much. Yeah, so one thing I think that I really have, because I'll say this, like when I first started my practice, I really even had a difficult time calling my work medical astrology, just because, when I was reading medical astrology books or when I was learning medical astrology, it was always encapsulated to just physiological happenings in the body. And Saturn opposite Venus means this, or the sign of Aquarius means that, from a physiological perspective, which was amazing and great, of course. But starting out with evolutionary astrology, I just had so much depth in understanding the psychology around things and understanding how the body and the mind were inextricably connected. And so, probably my favorite thing about medical astrology is that any perceived illness that is already taking place, or anything that we're looking to as a preventative measures, will also have an emotional psychological correspondence to it. And through those emotional psychological correspondences, as well as the physiological lived experience that someone has, there's always movement practices to do with it. There's always let's say prompts. There's always going to be, from different traditions, not the Western tradition or the medical astrology tradition, there's always going to be mantras. There's always going to be potential remedies that are like more, let's say, like we could call them magical, or like gems. All things like that will be considered magical as well. And so, yeah, I just think that there's just so many ways to be able to see clearly what's going on here, right? It's not just like the fact that you have something going on with your heart, but it also can have to do with the fact that you feel like you don't receive recognition in your life, or you don't feel seen, or you don't feel heard, or you might be feeling like a lack of confidence. And what can we do as a movement to actually not only start to allow that physiology to start to change, but also to experience that on a somatic level in a way that's understandable and creates clarity as well. So I think that's like the main thing that feels like very different in what I do, in the way I practice, to like what I just have learned in books and stuff like that.
Well, you see, this also illustrates how personally it is to the individual, and that,
Absolutely.
you have that intuitive link when you do connect with people. I know I personally have felt it, and I know people who have worked with you who have felt it, and they walk away and they go, oh, he gave me something I didn't know I was in me that I needed to see or I needed to work with. And I feel like 100% better now, which is an awesome, awesome thing. And
Mm-hmm.
yes, I respect all your talents, but I know that also those people who come to you, they have to come with an open heart and mind. because
Absolutely.
it's really about their soul and spirit. And, you know, I'm going to say this because I believe 2026 to me is the year of evolvement. And we are going to evolve one way or another. We can evolve any way we make conscious intentions and choice to. And this is very, very special because with all this fire in the sky and the wind, astrologically, it gives us a time to really look at different aspects. You know, whether it's the fire in the belly doing your passion, or whether it's the spirit that gets to take you from one place to another. So I think that having the opportunity to be able to take this practice to another level is going to ensure the individuals that they've put out an intention to evolve higher,
Mhm.
you know, and that evolution can take place multidimensionally. And so to me, this is really exciting. And I know that it is going to be an exciting year to say the least. But with that said, talk to me a little bit about your yoga practice
Oh
with
yeah, so that's interesting.
astrology
Yeah.
because you came to Lilydale. Oh my gosh, you would have to have been there. Cameron was with us in the children's program, and he was using yoga with astrology. Oh my gosh. Yes, the parents were in the room. Some of them were with the children, and everybody, I mean, the parents were excited, the children were excited. They were learning astrology and yoga together, and it was such a win win because even after the children and the teens left your class, they were still working the yoga and the astrology with themselves and with their parents. So,
Yeah. 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 Yeah, that was such a beautiful experience. I'm so thankful to have been there and yeah, excited to come back as well. Yeah, so like right now, I would say like the way in which I like am in relationship with yoga and astrology, I would say movement in astrology even more than just yoga practice because I've learned so many different things and I'm working on just a lot of different stuff with a few other teachers that I have right now too as well that are like more like physiotherapists or people who work on like training programs and stuff like that who are more what people would probably be more familiar with like thinking of it as like personal training. So it's more like movement overall right now for me, and I do correspond that to like each zodiac sign in a lot of ways as generalizations, but of course, the body is like interconnected in this very interesting in all these interesting ways. And so, yeah, just working on how do I, yeah, how do I present it in a way that I understand it now? Because let's say somebody has an issue going on with Libra, and that might represent something happening in the lower back, but also Sagittarius is in a sextile to Libra or is in a specific type of relationship with Libra, and how the issue that's going on with their lower back might also have to do with their quadriceps or their thighs. And yeah, so I've just been like writing a lot in the background on how to talk about these things. But like in my practice, it really does like a lot of times just come up intuitively, to be quite honest. You know, somebody comes to me, like I had somebody 2 weeks ago who came to me and they had an issue with their shoulder. They've had the issue with their shoulder for 2 years now, I think. And like by the end of the session, it was kind of just gone. So a lot of it is just like it's like I'll use the chart to kind of hold a space and ask questions or like use it for inquiry. But then after that, as some people say, I let God take the wheel, let's say. So that's kind of like my relationship with astrology right now. Well, in my own practice, I can say this though. There are days that I ramp up and like do a lot more when it comes to my exercise workout routine, or I do less when certain things happen. Like for example, yesterday the moon was like kind of like just hanging out and not really in a relationship with a lot of other planets. So my movement practice was way more, just say, wandering. I was wandering a lot more. I was taking more breaks than I usually take. I was just letting the workout kind of take me where it wanted to, whereas usually I'm more um, disciplined about it. So, yeah, I let the moon kind of tell me what to do with my body most days. But other than that, yeah, that's kind of my relationship with movement and astrology right now.
Okay, well, I would be remiss in not mentioning your herbal studies because I know, do you have an apothecary where you
Yeah.
are? And people
Mhm.
come there, and I, having studied some herbology, I love being able to talk to you because I know the depth of wisdom that you have. So, can you kind of reveal a little bit more of that to us?
Yeah, absolutely. I like to think of my herbal practice as being like twofold, or I have two different faces or two different ways I practice herbalism. One I would say is like very much more clinical when it comes to like my one-on-one clients, when I work with them with medical astrology and other things. A lot of that is like online work. I would say that's like very much more clinical. But like in the city that I'm in, Memphis, Tennessee, I have a lot of people come into like the shop that I work at. I work there 2 days a week for just a few hours a day, and I have people who are kind of like coming weekly to work with me. And so it's interesting to be able to be more clinical and like have somebody's whole chart and have like a full intake form and all these things. And like the practice is like so elaborate and intricate, and much more astrologically based. But then at the herb shop, a lot of times like people aren't really asking me about astrology. They're not coming to me for that very purpose. They're coming to me just as an herbalist. So it's more like I'm checking the tongue and the pulse. I mean, I do that in my practice online too as well. I can't check the pulse, but I check the tongue and stuff like that. But in person, it's a little bit more folk. I would say it's more folky, right? It has a more folk feel to it, and yeah, that's I don't know. And I think it's interesting too to see how the archetypes show up, because I might ask somebody like, oh, like what medication are you taking? Like, let me check your tongue, let me check your pulse. Do you have this symptom? Do you have that symptom? What's your zodiac sign? And people are like, what's my zodiac sign? It's like they don't like they a lot of people don't know that I practice medical astrology. So there's like, what's my zodiac sign? And they tell me their zodiac sign, and I'm like, oh, do you also have this going on? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, and this going on? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, and do you feel like this sometimes? They're like, yeah. And I'm like, and do you behave like this? They're like, wait a second, what's going on here? And it just like gets really, really, yeah, it's really interesting how like sometimes, in the past I've been like, oh, sun sign astrology, and like kind of uh probably, yeah, to be honest, like put my nose up at it a little bit. But really in my medical astrology practice, I think that was the best way that I actually could confirm or deny from like a astrological uh spiritual scientist perspective that these things were like so real, right? When I first was learning medical astrology, it's like, okay, Aquarius is this, and that. And so I would ask people, what's your zodiac sign? And then I'll be like, do you have these things going on? And just like time after time, it would just like work like clockwork. And so in the practice here in Memphis, Tennessee, I let the astrology just like refine things after I kind of do like a more holistic evaluation, herbal intake with people in the city, and it's been great, and I love it. And I have so many people coming to me all the time in the shop, and I even now at this point have worked with like a few families. Like I work with like 3 generations and within their family, which is pretty cool. So yeah, it's just a little bit about what's going on with the herbal practice.
Well, I think this is sensational because, as people have noted, we're going through changes with our healthcare system.
Absolutely.
And we do need to have alternative thoughts, feelings, ideas. And as we go through these changes, it gets a lot less scary if they know, oh my gosh, I can go online and contact Cameron and or something like this, or oh my gosh, I can't get an appointment with such and such, because my Medicaid or something has run out, that, there are alternative opportunities for people. So, you know, it, I really, really think this is part of our evolvement, to let Mother Earth come back into our lives, to find that healing and the essence of her once again, and not be so detached. And I don't know, that's a personal feeling as though that
Yeah,
maybe.
no, I think that's really true. I like a week and a half ago, I saw somebody that I knew from high school, and she works at like a local community health, we could call it community health center. And I was like telling her like what I've been up to, and she was like, "Oh my gosh, we're like looking for alternative health practitioners actually to come in, and they're like a full on community health center." And so like yeah, it's happening now, like what everybody's been hoping for, the blending of or the acknowledgement of traditional medicine or alternative medicine coming into closer towards or like merging. Yeah, because I like to think of it as like we're merging. We can be even holistic while merging with the mainstream rather than getting absorbed into the mainstream. And I think there's something that's like really encouraging.
Absolutely. So here I am, beyond excited to have you coming back to Lilydale. And you know, I know how much you truly love Lilydale, which even makes me
Yeah,
more excited because I could feel how you touched this old growth forest, and that how the positive vibes that are in that old growth forest, and how being there can heal you. It can allow
totally.
you to really reconnect with Mother Earth in a whole other way, which is super. So, with that said, can you tell us what is it that you're going to share with us when you teach in Lilydale this August?
Yeah, absolutely. Before I do that, I do just want to invite everybody like who's going to be there. Like, yeah, just as much as you can go to the old growth forest because, yeah, when you said that, that just made my heart smile so much because it was like what I was thinking about even before we hopped on this call today. I was just thinking, yeah, it was just such a blessed moment really in time for me. And so I just want to like double down on that and re-emphasize that point that you just made. So thank you for that. And yeah, like it really nurtured my spirit being there, to be honest. I think about it often. Yeah, so what I'm going to be teaching when I come to Lilydale is going to be about personality, basically personality types and the medicines or the remedies that you can find through medical astrology. So in ancient times, we worked with a fourfold division of what we call like body constitution, or we can call like I like to call them body mind types in this current space and time because that makes more sense than saying constitution. It's a more technical term. So there's four different mind body types, and they correspond to each element in astrology. So we have earth, water, air, and fire. And there's a specific way in which you can the I use a combination of just like herbal or like traditional medicine practitioner skills combined with the medical astrology or reading the chart in order to assess what is this person's body mind constitution or body mind type. And based off of understanding the body mind type, you can understand automatically you get like a whole list of potent like you it's interesting because like really what we're doing is we're trying to close in on what would be helpful for the person, but also we're like we gain a list like more precise. That's what I would say. We're gaining a more precise list of possibilities of remedies to work with the people, right? So let's say in general, if I say like I'm for people who are listening just audio, I'm putting my arms out really wide, and like let's say I'm like, oh, I find out this person's a fire sign. It like closes in, it makes it more narrow the possibilities of like what remedies are going to be for this person on a preventative level. No matter what illness is manifesting, there's still a way in which they're going to express this fire. And so that's going to include again like movement practices, or and sometimes it's in my practice now, because this is the way it was taught. The way it was taught was these types of movements or these types of exercises are good for fire signs or earth signs. And my approach has evolved and like kind of innovated it to where no matter what movement practice you're doing, a lot of it really for me is about how you do it. So a lot of it's about pacing, a lot of it's about understanding the psychology of people. So for instance, for fire signs, they're not going to need much motivation. But if you're working with earth and a water type, then trying to rely on motivation is going to actually become a problem for them. And it's going to lead to judgment, and it's going to lead to apathy or like feeling critical of the self. And so even just understanding that in and of itself has helped so many people who are water and earth types. So we have exercise, we have diet suggestions that will automatically come up. We have even down to the type of the approach to spirituality can also be we can help guide people the approach to spirituality with understanding the body mind type as well. So there's just so many different things. So yeah, diet, exercise, of course, herbal regimen. This also can be very, very helpful, very, very helpful when it comes to relationships as well. Right. And so you can see it's like really running the gambit through all the things when it comes to work and professional career, what type of things are going to be good for your temperament or your mind body type. So we can really like hone in on, oh, don't you notice how this food is good for you and how this type of situation at work is good for you, and this type of situation in a relationship is good for you, or not necessarily just good for you, but why you might get into certain situations in relationships, and how gaining a self-understanding can allow you to see that there's not necessarily a problem with you or the other person, but it's this invitation for a deeper understanding that can like create more cohesion and peace within the connectivity of that relationship. There's some people in ancient times that took these 4 mind body types and would even say that people who are raising children or people who are working with children, they should all know these mind body types, because we know in this current space and time, we tend to pigeonhole children into specific categories in ways that doesn't actually allow them to express their unique essence and their nature. And since that has happened for such a long time, then every single adult that I come face to face with has probably experienced that for the most part as well. And so there's like a therapeutic quality to being able to be seen, heard, and understood in a way where you can actually just drop judgments because you have a sense of understanding that lets you be you. So that's what I'm talking about, and like through the lens of astrology. So it'll be exciting. I'm really looking forward to it. It's something I've worked on for a while now, and yeah, even in part of creating the class or the workshop for August, I ended up now. I think I have a course. Actually, I think I've created a course now, so it'll be exciting to present and share, but it'll also be exciting to see how I'm going to take what probably now has become an 8-week course and talk about it within a small amount of time. So I'm excited about it.
Okay, speaking about courses, do we have hopes of being able to study with you for an 8-week course or something like that coming up? And have you started writing something that you might bring with you that people, I don't know whether it's a book or a pamphlet or I would love a book. I know how busy you are and how you just
yeah.
when I said this is the year of evolvement, I mean, it's as though that you continually make these metamorphoses to higher levels, which to me
Totally.
is so exciting because it teaches us that we're not a one-trick pony in the year of the
Yeah.
horse, and that we are going to evolve, and we're going to go where the gusto is and bring ourselves to higher realms, and that this is truly evolvement.
Yeah.
So if people want to get to be, by the time they come to Lilydale, you will be able to, if they'd like to sign up for your course or things like that, that'll be prepared for them.
I can't guarantee that. I think I'll be done by then for sure. And also, like I said, I'm in Greco-Arabic medicine school right now. So there's things that I'm still brushing up on to make sure that, because, I had I had adequate understanding of things, but the things that I was learning were coming from books and from like different teachers. And my teacher in the lineage, in the Unani Tib lineage, is like very, very precise and very, very strict. There's some like Arabic I have to learn and stuff like that. That won't be a part of the course, but I'm just trying to be with. I'm making sure that like I'm being a good steward of the tradition, and so I don't think much of what I've created will change, but I'm doing my due diligence to make sure that I have it all figured out. And as far as like writing goes, I've been writing a lot more articles in preparation for what will become a book whenever that happens. I had to end it up when all my writings, I have like these different sections, because if I try to make just one book at one time, I'll just like end up scrapping it, because there's just so much I'm continuously learning, like you said. And so I'm just breaking things up into different divisions. So like writing about the planets, writing about the houses, writing about the signs, writing about herbs, writing about, herbal plant to planet correspondences, and just having them, and I'm just putting them out in little articles as I build like the main bulk of what will end up being a book for sure. And then I also am just considering having a book that is more, we say, for the general public versus someone who wants to like go to like scholar level of like wanting to be astrologer. I didn't used to even like the history of these things, but I've started writing, and even just my outlining of itself is probably like 5 pages long on the history of medical astrology. And so yeah, and it is combined with the history of medicine. So I have to just not go overboard about it. But it is a long-term project. So I actually do kind of want to go overboard about it, to be honest. And so I'm figuring out how to like make what will be like a very like, robust scholarly book versus something that's should be digested by the general public and people who are kind of more introductory and not looking to go down the rabbit hole quite fully yet with Alice. So that's what's going on right now. By then, though, I will also have. I don't have the coupon code right now. I do have a coupon code for an astrological wellness program that I have right now, and it's just a 4 to 8 week program, depending on how people want to structure it. And it's 4 sessions, and it just goes over your mind body type, and then we go over what diet would be helpful for you, how to schedule and like create a routine based off of your specific template. If there are things going on in people's relationships or work life or career, then just like looking at all different areas of life and how understanding the mind body type can be really, really helpful for them. So it's just like a little program that I have, and I'll probably have something either more elaborate or a special package for people when I come to Lily Dell as well.
Well, talking about magical, I know for a fact that the animals surrounding Lilydale have communicated with you. And that even coming to Lilydale, that people should be aware of the fact that, yes, there's an old growth forest, but there is, I like to call it almost an otherworldly energy.
Totally, yeah.
The animals, and whether you're seeing an owl in the woods or a heron on the stream, it's all part of that Lilydale communication that is connecting with you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So I know your class is on August the 22nd, but you'll be with us starting the 18th. And people are going to have a chance to meet and greet, and we're going to have a special concert, and you're part of panels. And this is just like so exciting that I don't know, we could just go on and on for an hour, Cameron, but I know how busy you are with your practice. And I thank you for giving us your time, but most of all, every little tidbit that we can take with us into 2026 so that we're able to evolve And yes, my dear, dear people who are watching this, I hope that you're as excited as I am about seeing and meeting Cameron on this podcast so that we can, really as a community support the positive evolvement that needs to happen and is going to happen as long as we can keep our body, mind, and spirit healthy enough to move
Mhm.
forward through all these ups and downs, ins and outs, and with love and grace and God and spirituality and prayer. So I thank you so much. I can't wait to hug you.
I know. I look forward to it.
And have you in Lilydale. And can did you want to leave some sort of way people could connect with you, Cameron?
Yeah, absolutely. So people can connect with me on my website at cadreamplanet.com. And also I have an Instagram at cadream6. Those are two places that people can reach out to me. And I'll make sure that you have that information so that you can tag it or like share it with the video as well. Or the audio. Yeah.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Many, many, many blessings. And once again, I'm so excited, as you can well tell.
Yeah, it's always nice being with you. I appreciate you. And thanks everybody for listening. I look forward to seeing everyone and giving everybody great big hugs.
Okay, bye for now.